Right. Jamie, ready?
Yes.
Cam, ready?
Who's doing the recap on that?
I can try. Cam, ready? I'm not actually looking at the cameras to see if you're doing thumbs
Alright.
up.
I'll do the recap.
Yes!
Alright, Kirsty, ready? Okay. Chris, ready? Me, ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
And welcome back to another episode of Roll for Story, the Claude Coast. Last session, you guys finally pushed through the canyons of this darkened plain, only to get ambushed once again from all sides by these wretched undead creatures. Thankfully, you had Bob, or whatever his name was, wrestle one of the others, stopping them from coming down upon you. But nonetheless, it was still a grueling fight as wave upon wave of these creatures kept on coming. Started to realize perhaps a better strategy would be to just start running and flee this place. Andy also made a strange pact with their shadow, for the time being at least. When before they were being a little bit antagonistic, now their shadow seems to have made a deal. And as you pushed through the canyon, you collapsed it behind you and managed to get the majority of these lost souls to safety. All bar two, the captain and one of the soldiers, one of the injured ones. And when you finally came out of the canyon, you saw in the distance sort of a mirage of this encampment, heavy ballistas. And although you could see all the signs of a camp being set up, there was no people here. Though a keen ear could actually hear their voices, you could hear footsteps. And you managed to get the soldiers into the triage tent. There, Irina, you gave one final kind of rite. And you placed a key inside of a bonfire. And as it heated up red hot, you could actually see the red color returning to their Genasi flame hair. Because at this point, they sort of all fell into a deep slumber. And you set up the globe of invulnerability. What is it called? Lehman's tiny hut.
Yep.
After a long rest, you all came to. Looking around you, this encampment has simply disappeared, blown away with the sands on the wind. In its place, a bleak, dark desert with this massive crevasse peering into darkness. The skies are still grey, but it's a lot quieter now than it has been. And after spending a decent long time here, patching up your wounds and such, Carius, your blood is still kind of this greyish colour, but then everything seems to be as well.
But we're
So you
alive.
still feel... Yeah, you are still alive. You are alive. You actually are fairly rested, though. You still kind of feel fairly exhausted at the same time. So I'm just going to do a long rest here. There you go. It's not like you're physically drained, but rather feel emotionally drained. Like you almost forget what you're supposed to be doing today, what your goal was in the first place. You're even trying to remember what the smell of the desert was, because here it's just muted. It's more like ash.
Is that just Carius or is that all of us?
It is everyone.
Oh. Even
It
in
doesn't
the
even feel like it's morning. The sun hasn't rose. It's just a dark sky. But you can tell that your spell slots have replenished. Feel like you are healed, but maybe you just feel a little empty or hollow inside. Like you're sinking into the desert. But the day is yours. As the tiny hut disappears, you're met with a cold breeze. And that breeze carries the smell of ash and mustiness.
So, how's Candlewick feeling? Are we done? Or is there more?
No, I think we're done. Time to leave this place. He seems quite content now.
How do we leave the place? Do we just go back the way we came? Or?
Well, I don't think we go back the way we came. Because when we came in, the world was sort of reversed. So I imagine to go backwards, we have to go forward. Maybe?
So we go forwards the way we came.
I don't quite know. I've never been here before.
Well, Candlewick got us here. Can he get us out?
Yeah.
Can you?
Okay, so you feel a heat rise. Candlewick is definitely attentive. The last thing you remember Candlewick doing was the sensation that those flames melted away, like wax was dripping down those 5 fingers of yours.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you kind of felt a warm, fuzzy hug, like he was actually thanking you. And now you kind of feel a slow, steady heat, more morose, but Candlewick does seem to gesture in a direction.
Okay. Which direction is he pointing?
He's directing you to the east.
Alright. He says we go that way.
So we go the opposite way, right? Or is this not opposite and we follow him?
I think he knows where he's going in this particular place, so we follow him.
Right. Lead the way then, Candlewick.
I'll let him just sort of float in front of me
Yeah.
to direct us.
You see a smoky apparition in front of you. Just the outline of a roughly humanoid shape begin walking east.
Go off. Seeing this, he's suddenly becoming more and more like, oh, I'm an actual person. Look at me.
I mean, I've never seen him do that in all the time I've known you, apart from since we've been here. Maybe, I mean, because, you're a warlock, maybe he's actually a Shadowfell creature, so he's able to manifest more of his power here, like more his true self.
Like, I mean, I've seen him do it like once or twice, but I assumed he just kind of mimics the people he's around. Like, he's smoking shadow, he kind of does what he wants.
Noticing you guys are kind of getting up, perhaps hesitating to follow him, there's a sudden flare of light from Candlewick, and it's almost as if you're seeing a genasi in front of you with the fiery hair, but also the way it's in the distance, it almost looks like just a black candle.
Yeah, we're coming. We're coming.
Yeah, let's follow
Yeah.
after.
All right, so
Wakey, wakey, everyone! We're going!
5 more minutes.
No.
But you have to do that thing where you sort of drag the cat along the floor. Like, digs his nails in, like, no!
It's just like face down.
Alright, but you're gonna get a mouthful of sand.
But I'm tired.
So just one of us tries and grabs him from the front, and you just get claw marks.
You're setting a bad example for Egbert.
Egbert is also face down, getting dragged along.
Egbert's an egg. He's allowed to. But he doesn't have legs.
No, eggs don't have legs. Do you think maybe when we get back we should try like fashion like a little cart that you can just pull Egbert along in?
No, he's happy in the sling.
Aren't you supposed to keep eggs warm?
Yes.
Not that it's like an egg, it's a weird thing.
I beg your pardon.
You heard me. Like, he's not actually an egg, you know this, right? And what's inside is not actually, like, potentially living.
Did you just whack Irina with the
You get the monk bonk.
I'm not saying you can't treat it like it's a thing. I'm just saying, like, you need to, like, realistically understand that it's not a living thing, right?
I mean,
Well,
we
he
saw it.
kind of is. We saw inside of the egg. There is something in there, regardless of what it is. It communicates with me. I mean,
it was a statue.
you could just say that Candlewick is just smoke.
No, he's actually, like, a living entity.
So is Egbert.
I mean, I
Egbert
suppose
protects me.
I
Do
suppose
we know that yet?
I suppose this depends what you classify as a living entity.
Okay, we'll put this to the test. Cast something bad on me.
Well,
That will rend me.
no.
Yes,
I'm not
that's-
gonna do that.
And that's
Which
just
spells was.
that's just a magical effect.
That doesn't prove that he's actively choosing to do that. That just might be the effect of a magic item, is what they're saying. But you
Well,
know,
I can hear him. He talks to me.
Is that not just your
He talks.
inner voice?
Yeah, of course
Sure.
he does.
No, that's just your
What
inner
is-
voice.
What does he say? Like,
yeah, I'm
You've
actually
never
curious now.
mentioned Or-
Yeah. Tell me about these excellent conversations you've been having.
yeah, no. If
Well,
it
first of
actually
all, he
speaks
hates
to
your
you-
puns.
Yeah, he's an egg. What's he gonna do?
Next, you'll be saying you're psychic.
Well, it's a similar communication that I get when, for example, I'm with the ship, Crystal.
Okay.
It's not exactly a voice, it's more of a feeling,
Okay.
I guess.
Okay, I can understand that.
Yeah, I
Well,
can
that's-
too.
That's what I mean. It's a similar feeling to you and Candlewick.
Okay, well, you've got to see this from our perspective. You never once mentioned this. You just sort of talk about Egbert like he's a thing, and obviously he's an egg with a stone thing in him. That's all we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be
Is this
honest,
that-
you can have stone creatures. Those do exist. So it could be like a golem or something, or a
Yeah, but it looks
construct.
But it looks similar to the goat statuettes that I had.
No, that thing was
But-
weird.
It
But it-
does also kind of look like Malone's bird, so
Well, I'm actually just gonna roll because
But
this.
This is the kind of thing that I really want to research, because if there's a way that I don't know, I can get Egbert out. So if
I mean-
he is able to hatch, then I mean that would be pretty cool.
I mean,
I can't remember. Do I? I don't think I know where you found the egg still.
No.
would do.
I think you guys hid that from me.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about it, if it functions similarly to the way your goats did, then it's possible that maybe that statue inside is capable of summoning something, and maybe it's that something you're communicating with. And this is some sort of like recharge unit or something, or protection you.
Like the elementals in the orbs I had.
Yeah, similar to that.
Okay. That I can get
Is-
behind.
So it is potentially a living thing.
It just might be
So-
maybe an extra plane or a creature, and that's just its form in this plane.
It just
Aw.
seems to be taking an
Extra
awfully
thing?
long time
Yes.
to hatch. Is that normal?
Well, I have no idea. You need to find an. Oh God, I don't even intend the pun, but I don't know the right word. An expert.
Well, then maybe if you wanted to look into this a bit more with me, maybe we would be able to commune with Egbert the same way that we did with Candleweek.
That's
We can give it a try.
Because I had good enough energy with you to be able to actually get an answer out of Candlewick, so maybe if we share the same energy, then it might happen again. I
Okay.
don't know. All I know is that Egbert likes to travel with us, and he protects me and I protect him.
You know who could
Okay.
have been an expert?
Terrig.
Terrig. With his
Terrig.
Terek. Terek's an expert.
because he has the
Better
identify.
identify.
the greater identify. He
All
could
of
have
Did you
these-
say Tereg?
Yes.
Yeah.
um.
All of these egg puns are leaving my brain scrambled.
Okay, we can attempt to commune with Egbert. Once
Maybe
we get out of here.
Honestly,
Maybe
I
we-
think maybe over breakfast it seems the appropriate time.
this would be a good time. Maybe we would be able to stop off at Terek and ask him.
If we can find the tower.
Do you
Again.
this is sort of a weird one, but as it's a stone creature, do you think maybe it will only wake up when you go to the elemental plane of Earth?
Creature? You mean a child?
It's still a creature. I'm a creature.
Child.
You're a creature. It's a child
You're a-
creature.
You're a cretin.
Oh,
To be fair, the scrying spell only works on living things. So I could try it, and if it gets no response, then it isn't
Don't do
alive.
that. What if he's bathing?
Speaking of Bo, speaking of identify, did you actually ever try identify on the egg?
Did I? Have I?
You didn't.
I never thought of that. Do you want me to try that?
You might be able to learn something, like maybe it's got some maybe Egbert has some additional features that he's hiding. Could be shy.
Yeah. Pass the egg over.
Yeah, you can fuck off. I mean,
You don't want to learn more about your child? That's a bit. Of a
yes, I'm
bad-
not exactly going to hand him over.
That's bad parenting.
The last time I gave you anything, you happily handed secrets over to the enemy.
No, I
I'm
didn't.
not going to leave you alone with my things.
Technically,
didn't.
that was me, but I was trying to do that in an obscure enough way that they thought the information was useful, but not. I'm not great at the subterfuge thing. It was my first try.
You're still both in my bad book.
Yeah,
I
and
am happy to sit down with you and identify
Yeah.
Egbert if he's able to be hatched.
And again, I'm the reason you got your scrolls back. What?
And I came up with the idea to fake them. So they got false
I'm
information.
feeling it's going to be like one of those baby scans.
Actually, technically, that was James.
Yeah, technically, yes, I suppose. I was meaning to have it as kerosene couch, I just didn't do it. But yeah.
No, I think it worked out better that
Yeah.
we're still okay.
But
You can hold on to it. I just need to cast a spell around it.
This is fine. I will allow it.
but can we do that once we're out of the shadow, wherever the hell we
Yeah, I
are?
think we need to
That would
leave
very
here
be-
first.
would
I mean,
agree with that.
it's probably not good for Egbert's health to be in here for too long. Not
It's
good
not
for
good
mine.
anyone's health.
I mean,
Might be
my
some
my blood's gone grey.
There might be some negative effects.
Your blood's gone grey. My shadow tried to kill me.
But
Yeah.
to be fair, you got a fairly sweet deal out of that.
Yeah, my friend
Yeah.
now high fives it.
you see your shadow shrugs.
Why you two though? Why has nothing happened to us?
I mean, it's possible stuff did happen to you, but maybe it's just not as immediately obvious. Like, is your... I'm just going to stare at his hair, which has always been a mix of colours. Is it still the same mix of colours, or has it gone a slight bit greyer?
no, it's white. It's been white
Very
since.
sorry.
It's gone slightly grey.
Ah!
It is darker in this place.
To be fair, I technically, when I walked in, I got an abundance of sudden medical knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Not medical knowledge.
well, the ins and outer workings of biology of
No, it was
literally how
mostly
how
mostly to
things-
do with Shadowfell denizens and knowledge, arcane knowledge of the Shadowfell itself. Just tidbit,
I mean,
just kind of why you knew what the creatures were, what they were
It was
capable of, kind
weird.
of thing.
yeah, for all
Um,
we know, maybe Kashan's never actually heard the voice of Egbert, but being here has driven him mad enough that it's made him think that he heard a voice. I'm
I
joking,
think
of course.
we'd know if Kashan went mad, though.
Would we?
I think we'd notice.
I mean, to be honest, if he started acting more sane, then that would be weird.
Well, that's what I mean. If he refused to fight, then we should be worried.
I mean,
This is very true.
he has been talking to his egg apparently. Maybe this place has made him a bit.
Kashan.
Oh no, I've been talking to it, but I'm sorry, you've seen me having full-on conversations with him.
To
Yeah.
be fair, Lavelle, you talk to yourself an awful lot too, so.
No, I talked to my book, and my book is alive.
Oh, like that's any
And you
better.
call me weird.
The book is alive, just like Candlewick is.
Right,
Huh.
and Egbert
We feel-
potentially is too.
I'm the
You
only one.
suddenly are blind, Llewellyn.
Blind.
Yes, as you're completely encased in smoke.
Oh. What? Why is Candlewick doing this to me? What'd I do?
You feel a heat rush up the back of your neck.
Now he's seducing me.
I don't think so somehow.
Get out of my back.
Come on, Wick, that's enough.
He likes.
It burns you on the way out. At one point of fire
That's
damage.
enough.
He likes me.
I'm in me party's wizard.
What's the
Grum,
what?
So Andy talks to her
Candlewick's
shadow.
not real.
So Andy talks to her shadow. Irina talks to her sword. Llewellyn talks to his book. Kashan talks to his egg, and I don't talk to anyone.
You talk to a lizard.
Excuse you have a fairy dragon.
Yeah.
Shadow thing was only
Yeah.
recent.
Yeah, I know.
You talk to your fairy.
Speaking of which, James, roll me a D100.
Oh. What's going to happen to Tech? Oh, exact
Exactly.
50.
50?
To be fair, I talk to an actual
Okay.
sentient creature that you can see living, so it's less
Do
mad.
realize, guys, this isn't a competition about who talks to themselves the weirdest.
If
Irina
we-
just looks down at her shoes and doesn't mention the fact that she's been talking to her shoes for years.
I'm not sure if Taklo is summoned or not, but if they are on your person,
Yeah, they normally are. They're probably in a pocket or
Then-
something.
Taklo pokes their head out, looks around at the mention of their name, and you can see that their pupils have like dilated, or maybe it's just the whites of their eyes have gone completely black. But yeah, just looks
Um.
around and it just has these massive, wide black pupils.
Okay, I need to check something with that spell a moment.
Almost looks like a tad evil.
Okay, I'm gonna temporarily see through Taklo's eyes to see how his vision appears to have changed.
His vision is actually much better in this environment than yours. They've got like superior dark vision.
Okay, Karis comes back. So, out of all things, Taklo has gained better dark vision from being in here.
Like they got adjusted to the light by the looks.
Which is really weird because he's from the Feywild, which is should be like the opposite of here.
Yeah. Strange. Like he's adapted.
Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, the smoke has been pulling you on throughout this whole journey. If you've noticed in the background, me dragging you from map to map.
Yeah.
Candlewick turned into a light, dark. A dark kind of cloud that hovered above your heads, basically shrouding you from any prying eyes from above. And to anyone else looking over the canyon, they would just see just a dim shadow moving across the canyon wall. So he's kind of tried to keep you as hidden as possible. Thankfully, though, most of the creatures have either been destroyed or moved on, having now lost that scent of fresh souls now that they've passed on. Now, you do go back the way you came, but a different direction over the canyon, and then descending down. You probably have to just rappel or use the glaive to fly down, but it's not too much of an issue. So, for the sake of brevity, you do make it all the way back to this underground temple, and Candlewick is directing you towards the darkest place in here. But Arena, you feel like a heat rising within you at the same time.
Okay, but I mean, this is the way we came in, so I distinctly remember that.
Yep.
So
Okay.
With that, the flame suddenly erupts from the scabbard and glows into the full flame burge. And it is on fire this time. Rather than just a smoke, there is literally like you're holding a flaming sword. And the point is directed straight towards the darkest recesses of this cavern.
I mean, since
I mean,
when
are
have you
you
been?
trying to be a torch, or am I supposed to put you out?
I mean, since when have you been able to do that? That's much cooler than a smoke sword.
I didn't know he could do that.
Candlewick, can you do that when we get back as well? I'm just curious.
You feel a cold no.
So as expected, the candle burns brightest in the dark.
You
Okay.
feel a very warm affirmative, yeah.
All right. Okay.
So if we were in I'm just gonna ask because I'm curious. If we were in a really dark cave in the wherever we were before, would you be able to do it then? Well, now we're in like a weird ulterior plane. I mean, if we were just like deep underground sort of thing.
Aren't we now?
Yes and no.
I think he means in the material.
Yeah.
Not the shadows.
I'd rather not be in a dark cave.
Which is
like
why
this
we're
one.
leaving.
Can we please just go?
Yeah, I was assuming we were doing this while we were
I
walking.
imagine it's kind of like, in order to get out of the darkness, he's kind of got to light the way. So, everybody, conga line, so we don't lose each other.
Okay.
And then I'll sort of hold the sword forward and move.
All right. Okay. That funny as funny as it sounds, it does actually work. Forming a conga line behind the lights as you move into the darkest recesses, the tip glows hotter and brighter, and eventually starts to pierce the darkness. And you actually feel like the shadow around you is kind of tearing, ripping away. And yeah, so it's almost like you just pierced through that darkness and then torn it like a gossamer curtain. And as it burns, you actually can feel the heat, which you didn't before. It was kind of like this torch that didn't give off any fire or like any heat. But now, as soon as it kind of pushes through, you start to feel the temperature rising and increasing ever more. And as you're pushing through, I hear that tearing sound once again. And then a sizzling sound. You just burnt away a load of cobwebs.
Oh.
And suddenly you hear the sand beneath your feet, like the sifting sound as you're shuffling through it, kicking away the mounds and heaps. And you start to see just the barest ray of light shining down.
Did we not hear the sound of stepping on sand when we were in the other place?
I don't think so
The
because
floor wasn't sand.
no.
There was no sand in the other one.
Oh.
You heard footsteps too. If you recall, I did point out you did hear footsteps.
Yeah, and even if we were walking, I imagine the sound of it would be more muted.
So the light suddenly goes out, Irina, as soon as you come back into the material. The flame doesn't just go out, but more like extinguishes and it just replaces itself with smoke. As if Candlewick is merely a shadow of his former self within the material plane.
Good job, buddy.
Hmm.
All that in one piece. Makes a change.
It's actually kind of interesting that you can do that in the Shadowfell, but you can in the fire plane. You think you'd have more firepower?
I don't think that's where he's from, though. I think
Yeah.
where we just came from is where he's from.
Yeah. Honestly, as much as, you know, I'm not really the book type unless it's like a good storybook or something. I'm actually kind of curious.
Me too. At
Yeah,
times
well-
like these, I wish that he could actually speak.
Hmm.
So, but I'm just gonna have to
Sentient
do.
items are never good.
I'm just gonna have to do the research the hard way.
What makes you say that, Kashan?
I once knew this person who had this butter knife, and it used to scream every time it was used. No one understood why or what possessed this device, but it was a good knife, and it handled all the jobs good. It was just it screamed.
Was he a cook? Just cutting
He
through
was
bread.
one of the chefs in the monastery.
Just every time he cut a piece of bread.
Maybe the
Well,
knife
you
would...
could tell.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just,
It was terrible
isn't
when
like-
he was doing large scale prep.
You did feel a cold sensation as Karis was reeling off these theories, by the way, and yourself, Irina, as if Candlewick was saying, "No, that's not the case."
Fair.
I just pat the scabbard.
I mean, except for the part where you said he's from here.
Yeah.
That part, you felt a warm.
No.
Mm.
Karis is just going to cut his finger and see if his blood is still a funny cut. It's still grey.
Okay.
How
Funny
are you doing?
as it happens, I do want starting with Llewellyn to roll another D100 as well.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 90.
19. Okay. Coming back through here, you feel kind of drowsy, and the light actually doesn't burn your eyes, but you do feel like a stinging sensation as if it's too bright. And you just feel really sleepy. You feel like this is the time of day that you should be going to bed rather than waking up.
Am I feeling jet lag, basically?
Yeah, I guess that's the exact feeling you're experiencing.
Correct.
You can write on your sheet that you've become nocturnal.
What?
As a flaw, yes. You're nocturnal now. You
Is a
feel
creature
drowsy
of
during the
night.
day, and you have trouble. You have trouble sleeping at night as well.
No, that sucks.
Just a single day in the fail in the. It seems like your body clock has turned 180.
Is that a curse? How do I fix that?
Maybe it will wear off. Maybe it is a curse. You're not really sure, but right now you just feel jet lagged as coming through that shadow.
Alright, shall we get back to the airship and then we'll head to the dry oasis?
Oh, I'm not done yet. Irina
Oh,
can roll
God.
a dice. 100.
Oh no, more?
No.
More
Yep.
is happening.
Mhm.
What have you done?
91,
91.
just above that.
Oh,
Ooh, that one's really cool. That one's really cool. I'm gonna have to make a note of it.
Your
Next time
face.
you sleep, remind me the next time you go to sleep, and I'm gonna just put that on. Just put that on the background. Journal. Journal's good.
oh no.
Miscellaneous.
Ah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Hmm.
Okay. Cool. And next, for Andy as well. So
Oh.
a D100 for Andy,
Oh no. And
and a
then.
D100 from Kashan as well.
Oh no.
What did you need from me?
Just a D100.
This is like the Feywild, but worse.
And he rolled a
14.
14.
Andy.
13.
Oh. Wow, that's really interesting. 99
13 as well.
1, 13 and 14.
Oh man, that's weird. Okay, so Andes, you come back out of that cold environment, a cold desert. Feels like you were in there during like the night, but as you come back out, you can feel the warmth of day, and there is a heat, like a stuffy heat inside this underground cavern. But as you breathe out, you can actually still see your breath. It's like a cold day. You don't feel hot. You don't feel cold. You feel warm. You can just see a slight breath from your mouth.
Did.
And
No.
lastly, Kashan, you went through a lot of enemies. Let's just put it this way. You probably got the most kills during whole that whole skirmish. And you look at your body and you thought you were just kind of in a grayish tint. But as you look at your fur, you realize it's actually ash that is clinging to you as you've come back out there. And you remember some of the enemies that you punched so hard that they kind of like exploded into ash themselves, as if they were just like husks. And yeah, as you're trying to like brush it off of you, it's like glitter. You always seem to find more, and you just have this smell of ash about you everywhere. Like you can't get rid of it. Just everywhere you find little bits of ash stuck in between your pores and in your ear. It's like sand. It just you can't get rid of it.
I think I need a shower.
You do.
No comment.
I guess I can help with that, and I'll try and prestidigitate him clean.
Okay, you definitely get rid of the surface level, like off the shoulders and off the head. But as you're walking forward, you still just feel a little bit of grit between like your toes and such, and between the joints. And
Is it coming out of your paws? What is this stuff?
it's definitely ash. Grey.
I
It
don't know.
smells of ash.
Why do I feel so
Um,
tired?
mhm.
We only just slept.
I don't know. No,
I get stressed.
it's my blood still grey, I wonder.
You'll have to find out.
Well, he cut himself, didn't he, to
Yep.
look at his.
Oh, did you just
Yeah.
erase? Okay, in that case,
Yeah.
yes, you see a single drip of grey blood.
What?
Well, and Taklo still has his superior dark vision, which might come in handy. Who knows?
Yeah.
Can
Right.
I just check Carius for like if he may potentially be cursed? Because grey blood is not normal.
It isn't normal, nor is breathing a breath or a load of other weird side effects. You can roll an Arcana check though.
Can I roll a Arcana check as well?
Yeah.
To see
Yes.
what's.
Anyone who's curious and trying to think what is this strange phenomena.
Oh, I thought we both got 25 then.
Phenomena.
Irina, looking over Carrie, he doesn't seem to be any different. Doesn't seem to be anything bringing him down or what's the word? Debilitating him, but he has definitely got the color drained from his blood. You're not sure about what to do about it. You could try remove curse, but that will use up a spell slot, of course.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird.
As for Llewellyn, you've spent time in the hut, and that had very strange, gradual side effects over time. You remember people growing horns, or they had their their feet replaced with like hooves and such. There's strange effects whenever you cross over the boundaries of planes, and perhaps these are side effects that will wear away with time, or perhaps they'll always be a reminder of your journey into those dark places.
Guess it kind of confirms the idea of the dragons in the capital and that they changed into what Irina saw. But these are minor effects because we've only been in there a certain amount of time.
Right, they are all, and you can tell that with the 25, they are simply minor effects. They're not gonna harm or hinder you.
Yeah,
But you reckon if you'd have spent longer, if you had been exposed for longer periods of time, then yes, it would start to wear down on not just your physical form, but perhaps your emotional one as well.
I do say all that out loud to them as well.
Karish
I
just
feel fine.
Karish just shrugs. I've always been unique, so what can we do?
You feel fine for now, but all our effects are different. What's to say that yours just hasn't activated yet?
Maybe, but like,
Sure.
I mean, I hope there's nothing to expect from you, but we've all got something.
All right, shall we head back to the airship and get comfortable and on our way, or does everyone want to stay in the cave?
no, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I could do with a nap.
Just woke up.
I know. I think that place affected me in a strange way. Not quite sure how right now, but it's made me feel really sleepy.
I still don't trust this skeletal dragon.
It's just there to frighten people off.
Kinda want to take its skull.
Nah, leave it be.
You look out into the sun. There is definitely a warm morning greeting you, and it stings your eyes even more, Llewellyn, seeing direct sunlight. It's like, oh god, you have to either shade yourself or get a hat. Who knows?
Wait, thought it was just nocturnal.
Yeah, so you're not used to bright lights because your body is now more suited to night times.
I am nocturnal, and if I go outside, just the sight of the sky, it will burn your eyes.
I did not know that. I just thought it meant
Yep.
that you preferred sleeping at night.
Well, because obviously in the dark, your pupils
daytime.
expand to let in more light. So the minute you go out in the light, that's it. It'll just comes flooding in.
So what we
I'll
need
tell you the
to
amount of times I've walked out of my front door and gone, ah, God, you feel like a vampire.
So what we need to do is get Llewellyn a pirate hat to complete the look.
No, I guess considering I'm using my old robes right now, I guess for the first time in a long time he'll put his hood up.
Okay. Sure.
To try and block out the
That helps. It shrouds you, and you still feel drowsy, but at least the light isn't burning your eyes.
yeah.
Okay.
Time.
And even weirder, although you've just come out of a cool, breezy environment, you can still see Andy in this desert heat. A slight breath coming from their mouth. Bizarre.
I think it's funny that Llewellyn is literally the picture of like an emo kid, like, you know, with the black hood up, the bleached hair, like the pale skin.
Andy,
if
if you breathe out like in a long stream, does it make like a stream of smoke? 'Cause that could be a cool visual for your performances.
Probably.
It's like dragon's breath, but like cold.
Just like a very minor smoke machine that you can just breathe on your instrument.
Very minor.
You look like you've been vaping.
What's vaping?
Well, that was out of character, that one, but yeah. What's a smoke machine? Right, Karis will head up to the airship and then use the glaive, assuming it's there, and then use the glaive to ferry people up.
It is. And I forget, who did you leave behind on the airship? I always keep thinking you had someone on there.
We left
But
the
you don't.
automaton on there.
No, that's deactivated.
Deactivated. No, we when we park it, we just use the
The
rod.
immovable
Why
rod.
do I feel like you took Briseis with you? You
Nope.
didn't, did you?
Nope.
No. Okay. All right. It's just you guys. All right. I keep, like I
Are you-
said, I keep thinking you have, but you haven't.
Are you
It's a
trying to
weird thing.
tell us something there?
No, I've just got
You
like the
haven't
Mandela
stolen?
effect. You know what I mean?
We
Just the
haven't stolen.
Mandela effect.
All right, now we can head to the dry oasis. Probably park maybe half a day's walk away, and then we'll take some barrels of water, which we made a natural way beforehand, so that we've at least got some. Well, we'll keep some on the ship, but then some there, because they'll tax us and everything. And
How far away from the dry oasis would you say we are?
Not that far at all. If you started up the engines, you could be there within another day or two.
Yeah, I probably sleep the rest of the way.
Yeah.
God damn nocturnal.
Okay.
well, at least we know who's on night watch now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
That's it,
gonna go
Sanchez.
and find Kashan at some point while we're on the airship to see if we can commune with Egbert.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you can do so. You've got some downtime, effectively, aboard the airship.
Did you want to quickly identify? Do this? So probably. Be the-
Oh yeah, I'd do that before I went to sleep. Sorry. Yeah, I'd identify before.
You want to do an identify?
Yeah, we'll do it on this table here next to my bedroom. So I can just be like, right, you done. Bye.
Okay,
I'm
There's a
going to
lot
be
of charms on
watching
this
him
one.
close though.
sure.
It's alright, we're all here, he's not gonna do anything.
What do you think I'm gonna do? Make scrambled eggs?
Don't wind him up.
I mean, to be fair, I've cooked worse things.
Okay. So
Egbert
tell me
wants to know.
exactly how do you identify this? What does it look like to the rest of the group?
It'd probably be with the runes around it. Hand
Like a
gesture.
circle of runes.
Yeah. It's always a circle of runes.
My
Hand
brain just suddenly had this image of you lifting up your book like it's like a Pokedex, and then the book just being like, oh yes.
I kind of like that.
Oh, I wish I had thought of that.
Well, you could still do that. Say the rune circle, and maybe the information appears in your book, and that's how it.
Yeah. So the circle of runes do some of the like the hand movement gestures, magical hand movements, and then I touch my hand onto it, and I guess it transfers through me, which is also the book, into the book, and the book just pops it up.
Okay. Executor. Eggplant type Pokemon. No, it the runes glow, and as it does, you also see the cracks in the egg glow at the same kind of intensity as when your identify spell goes off. And Llewellyn, you instantly kind of get the information pinged in your mind as a process. These cracks, as bad and ominous as they look, they're actually part of a process in which it does hatch. It is not a living creature, however. You can't identify it like that. It's definitely a magical item, but the magical item is similar. You're getting similar like information to that of a figurine of power.
See, that's what I visually identified when I saw it. That it
Yeah.
was a figure of power. I said I guess I'm saying this out loud as well.
I mean, but don't those summon creatures? So it's still, sort of a
They
creature.
do.
It can do depending on what type it is.
So figurines of power are usually just small little miniatures that are
Yeah.
small enough to fit within your pocket. And when you speak a certain command word, the figurine will transform into that of a living creature, and it will become bigger to the point where if it's like, for example, the figurine of the golden lions, they're this big normally, and they will grow to a full-size large creature.
Does
So
it? Does the identify spell tell me? Well, I know it's a rock. It looks like a rock. But does it tell me what that figurine would do? Because that item is inside the egg, so therefore I'm
yes.
also identifying that.
So the first thing you can note is that this has not yet got a command word, meaning there isn't that activation yet.
Hmm.
It's like you're actually identifying the thing outside of it. The egg, which seems to be more of a transformation process, which is taking a little while, purely because it's not based on time. There is no waiting for this thing.
Kashan, when have you noticed the egg crack?
Whenever he protects me.
Hmm.
So
So the more times you are affected by certain things,
it's
the
not
mo-
certain things. It's
right.
multiple things. So Egbert effectively refrains me from becoming even more immobilized, I guess.
So if we wanted to hatch this, it's a matter of we could actually speed that up. We just need to put you under those sort of situations.
Inside check.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
So, are
like,
you
like,
saying
An-
it's
yeah, like
Is this
Andy,
payback?
like Andy Charming could charm him, and it would transfer over to the egg, and thus
Still in the truth.
the egg would crack.
I
more.
believe everything you're saying.
Pat, I mean, I could restrain him, and then if Andy charms him at the same time, it's possible it's some sort of maybe almost like a learning, like it learns from those effects, perhaps.
Well, it's not even a matter. Isn't it only the first effect that gets transferred to
It gets transferred,
It's the second one.
second?
Yeah.
So you can't be. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you wanted to help hatch it, I guess like a chicken sitting on an egg. But this is the process to do that.
My only
I don't
doubt
know.
is he's not actually in danger
But
because it's us.
yeah, but the process still.
Well, we don't know
Wait.
for certain. We know it does when it's him in danger. It might not work if it's us, but we could try.
We could test it. It's a theory.
But how do we know if it cracks, that's the good thing? Because
Because
what if this is
I just
hurting?
identified it. This is the process for it to hatch.
Well, you identified the shell, didn't you?
I
Part and part. They're both one and the same, but
But
there is
Sean
no
doesn't
command
believe
word.
that.
So what you understand, Levin, is that it's an incomplete figurine of power. Either that, or Malone made it so that it only becomes a figurine of power under certain conditions.
yeah, okay. I guess I'll say that. And that so the only way to really complete it would be to have it hatch, but this seems to be the idea behind it. It's not a matter of time. You could, so long as you didn't get put under those situations, you'll be carrying on to this egg for as long as you have it. But you know, there's a way to speed it up if you do want to hatch Egbert.
I would like to try and speak with him and see what he would like.
I don't
Sure.
think forcing it is the way though. Just a hunch.
Possibly.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Well, if you need me for anything, I will be asleep.
Hmm.
But I
Okay.
hope that has helped you understand it more.
Yes, thank you, Lavelle.
Yeah. Effectively, it will hatch when certain conditions are met.
I can't open the
What?
doors.
Click.
Oh,
I
oh.
did.
Also, Kasham, would you like a bath?
Yes, I would love one.
I'm okay. This is the only spell I've got that'll probably do this. I'm gonna cast Watery Sphere and just surround him in a sphere of water. That should wash it off.
Would you like a bath? Drown them.
It does. It
Yeah.
doesn't drown them. It lasts a minute. He can hold his breath for longer than that.
Don't
Is
give enough
drowning?
effect.
Okay, you're waterboarding him then.
Yep.
Just very quickly, is drowning a status effect?
It is not, but it is definitely a dangerous, precarious situation to be in.
You're-
Incapacitated is what drowning is really.
Yeah.
Suffocating, actually. Suffocating is weirdly a. Let me just check.
So if you stun me and then you do it,
This
Yeah.
is the weird thing. They do have conditions for suffocating, but it's less of a condition and more of a
In,
a s-
in fact,
situation.
I could charm you as well because I can do that. I've never had any reason to do so, but I can.
Nope. Go away. Irina, let's go and do this.
Just so you're aware, Kashan, there isn't just cracks over the egg. There is another different. Something about it was different at one time, and you only noticed it upon very close inspection. It has cracks, and there are little tiny leaf and vine-like designs. Like, picture a porcelain egg
Mm.
with the paintings of vines and leaves over it. And they weren't there originally, but you remember they appeared when Andy charmed you, and you got you undertook the sigil leaf ritual to
Yeah.
becoming one.
Oh my god.
So
Eggbirds become one of the hive mind.
maybe,
And so did I, so
yeah,
Except,
for a time.
except the hive mind doesn't exist anymore, so he'd be the only one.
Well, that's what you think.
Not that I'm here.
Yeah.
All right, Kishan, you're definitely washed and cleaned with the water. It's horrible though. You still have this smell of, but you dry off and you still smell kind of a bit of ash about you. It's fainter now, but it is
That's
still just
fine.
about there.
I was used to it with Irina being around.
And then I'll just use
Andy-
shape water to dry him off.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Cool.
Andy, would you like to join us in trying to commune?
Tough I will be, but I mean, I have nothing better to do.
Some music. Setting the tone. Let's go down to the crystal.
yeah, but I don't think she likes me much.
Carius is going to go back onto the deck and just sort of probably sit in the crow's nest. Just keep an eye on
Okay.
things as we're flying.
Yeah, no problem. You can give me a perception check, Carius, and then we'll go back to the others.
Yeah, I see nothing.
Not by the looks, clear skies and a clean direction, but doesn't seem to be any dangers on the horizon. Okay. Meanwhile, the other guys, you go into the engine room effectively, where there's a giant chromatic crystal sitting there, still slowly shifting from color to color. It is still maintaining its luster. Doesn't feel like it's faded or run out. But you do know that this is a finite resource. So at some point you will need to acquire more, but for now it seems like it's still holding pretty good. You haven't used the airship all that much, to be fair, within the Claude Coast. So you travel to the Claude Coast, and then this is really the only the actual journey you're using it for.
Okay. So I will sit everyone round in a circle around the crystal, as we did before.
Okay.
And to be fair, actually, in regards to Andy coming as well, she says she may not be that much help. However, with her kind of connection to the different planes, might actually be just another boost that we might need. So I will also offer for her to join us in this commune.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's the
And
crystal. Ta-da.
so I'm thinking it's gonna go Crystal, me, Irina, Randy, Crystal. Egbert is going to be perched in my lap, and I'm going to have a hand on the crystal, and I'm going to take hold of Irina's scabbard.
Mhm.
And then the trance will begin.
Okay. You slip into trance very quickly, as you are already very much attuned to the ship, and you're already effectively flying it at the same time. So, slipping into a trance is very easy, and there's a still sensation. You feel like you're the ship itself floating upon the clouds. There's still a will to go higher, but that's been put under control.
And I want to see if I can communicate through Candlewick. So almost a similar situation to what Irina feels, where it's kind of like the hot or cold for like yes or no. But because well, in fact, I mean, I can just straight up say, Egbert, can you hear me?
There isn't any response, but you do feel there is still a close bond, an attachment, which is not only your attunement, but also that promise that you made to each other.
I would then like to ask Candlewick if he hears me. Obviously,
Um,
not speaking out loud, but speaking within trance.
Well, is Candlewick out right now, or is Candlewick just
Yeah, I'm letting him just roam.
okay? So the smoke intermingles with the smoke which is being given off, well, rather the clouds that are being enchanted by this crystal. The crystal is effectively like radiating some sort of magical energy. It enchants the clouds. That cloud is then mixed with the smoke of Candlewick and effectively reverse communicated, like sending it back down the line towards you, Kashan. And you feel the temperature rise in the room just a few degrees.
Are you able to hear Egbert? Understand? Talk to?
The temperature decreases and goes cold. And if you need help translating these signs of temperature, then Irina is able to mostly communicate simple emotions with Candlewick, but they have got down a yes and no. Cold is no, hot
Hmm.
like negative, and usually hot means positive, affirmative. But no, Candlewick doesn't seem to have any way of communicating with the egg. You feel a kind of a heat around where your heart is, Kassan. It then expands out and forms like an outer layer of heat all around your body, and then you feel an exhalation as if you just breathed out Candlewick for a moment, and there's this shape of shadow in your own form in front of you. It then dissolves away. You see that same sort of sequence again, this time over the egg, as if a shell of shadow appears, and then it just dissolves away. And if you want, you can roll an insight check. See if you
Yeah.
understand what on earth that could mean.
20.
Okay. The way it started within your heart, your soul, your chest, it does carry that image of a soul, especially as it came out of you, out of your mouth, a breath. The image of you standing there like a mirror of smoke was to represent your soul. And when it did it with the egg, as it dissolved away, what Candlewick's trying to tell you is that Candlewick may be able to speak with souls, but this thing perhaps lacks one. And that does, unfortunately, coincide with what Llewellyn was saying, in that it is a construct. One that does possess intelligence, however.
Hold on. That was the Candlewick.
You swipe at the smoke.
Hey.
Okay, sorry, continue.
I do have like a thought though.
Hmm.
Just like out of character, I'm just sort of
Okay.
thinking about this because obviously, technically, as a construct and it has intelligence, could it potentially hold a soul?
Are you thinking of like a soul gem from the
No, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking because obviously the ship,
If I
the
bludgeon
crystal
something.
clearly has one. I'm wondering if we could transfer a bit of the crystal to the thing in the egg, and then the ship could come with us wherever we go. It's a bird, right? It can fly.
Do you know what?
You
I'm going to test something.
Oh.
With that in mind, there's kind of like a gap in the crystal, isn't there?
There is, where you had to actually place another chunk to make a full crystal, yes.
Like, maybe don't do it while we're flying in midair, just in case it goes wrong.
I play
Because someone
safer.
tried to crack it and remove the piece, and it wasn't ready for flight until that piece was replaced.
Mhm.
So, what
But
so you
I
want to?
really want to try.
Well, my reason of thinking is in case of obviously if we park the ship, we can then still take the thing that makes the ship fly with us, so then no one can steal the ship. It then becomes like a key.
I really like that thinking, and I really want to try put Egbert in the crystal.
Egbert, where the crystal should be.
Yeah.
You just feel the Candlewick is like in all. It's like up in your lungs, Irina. Candlewick is like holding their breath, basically, meaning anticipation, but also holding their breath because they're unsure, are very unsure of what will happen.
Kashan, I really don't know if you should do this while we're in mid-flight. I'm all for trying it, but not this high up from the ground.
Hmm.
I mean, to be fair, I'm as curious as Kashan is internally.
I literally got slap bang in the middle. Goddamn.
Technically, 10 is the lower half. Just saying.
Yeah, no, but I got a -1. So I rolled an 11 and I got -1.
Still a 10. So, no. Do it. Do it. Chaos, chaos, chaos.
I kind of
Hold on. I'm gonna try and sleight of hand it out of Kashan's hands.
What,
The egg.
Egbert?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before you can do it.
It'll be tricky considering he's a big egg, holding it with mostly 2 hands.
Oh, what the fuck?
But I mean,
What?
Can I try and...
yoink.
Hold on, no, because I would... there's
Prosperous
nothing
magic.
that I can beat that with.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. Damn.
Yoink.
Yeah, I guess at this point, Ishan, just as you're thinking about it, and you're still in that trance, by the way, because you're trying to commune with it. So your grip isn't as firm, and he manages to carefully, not snatching, but I imagine you do it very carefully, so as not to like pull him out of the trance.
In
With
his
deft
hand
hands.
instead, I would imagine is something just as
A pillow.
big
A
and
pillow.
heavy as if bowling balls were invented.
I
Tips
was
would probably be
I
holding a bowling
I was
ball right
thinking
now.
a rock or something, or
It's a loaf of like raisin spice bread that you
Yeah.
made that came out burnt, charred, and like
there you go.
brick.
There
Well,
you go.
You're actually lucky because I rolled slap bang in the middle. I flipped a coin and I actually flipped a no. So you see Kashan in the trance, just holding it, just kind of
Holding the bread.
just looking toward. His eyes are closed because he's in a meditative state. And he's like looking off towards Crystal, look back, and then he just folds his arms around this raisin bread and brings it into him.
Bread.
Just gives it a little peck on the forehead at the forebread.
Egbert, you
Yeah, you
taste
get-
a little burnt today.
And
You
she's
get,
gonna
like, a
sit
couple
back
of
down
seeds
on
in
the
your
floor, cross-legged, and she's hiding Egbert under the cloak.
Crap.
Okay,
Mm.
got it.
And she's
Oh,
just sat there looking really normal, really, like
Oh,
she didn't do
no.
anything.
You're gonna
Yeah,
kick
Egbert
off his
didn't.
mother instincts.
Kashan will be like that, like a dog where you throw the ball and then hide it under your armpit, and they're like, where? Oh.
um.
Where'd it go?
So yeah, I'm assuming the link breaks then.
You're never broken unless you break attunement with
Oh, okay.
the egg. So that's a good thing, by the way. You can be within like 100 feet of your egg and still be attuned to it. It's just when it goes out of reach for more than a day is when attunement will break. That's when you'll feel that snap. But no,
Okay.
you can still feel the attunement there.
Is
With that in mind, sorry, go on, James.
I was going to say, is there a sense of jealousy once Egbert sees him holding a bit of bread instead of him?
A sense of confusion, more like. But the creature inside is always in a state of kind of mostly slumber. It's not alive in there and not moving around. But the only way you communicated before was, didn't I? I'm trying to remember how you did communicate before.
It
think
was
you-
more of a feeling.
Yeah,
Like
it was
I
a-
got the feeling of hope and the feeling of protection, the feeling of
Correct.
a bond,
that's right. Yeah,
which is why I was hoping I could get a voice. But that's the first time I've ever wanted a sentient creature. Wow, or a sentient item. However, with
there is
the
still that bond, definitely.
with the crystal,
Hmm.
because of course I had the clangs, the noises. I'll
They were
ask
chimes, yeah.
Charm, sorry. I'm going to ask that if they feel a connection with Egbert as I do.
Oh, You do feel a chime, like glass or a tuning fork, sort of ring out. Yes, but it's a hesitant one. It's not like a. Because I think you figured out it was like 2 for yes, but it's sort of 1, 2, and
Maybe it's only a bond through me, considering
that's
I'm
exactly
attuned.
how you take it. It's a like a tertiary bond or a secondary bond, not one connected directly, but rather through you. Precisely that.
And then I will simply say, would it mind if we experimented by putting Egbert in the crystal's place once we've landed?
There's definitely no objection, but once again, you sort of hear the chime hesitantly say yes.
I
with
will
you.
thank it.
Ding, ding. Okay.
Yeah, I will thank it, and I will, break the session.
Okay. All right.
I kind of want to go off to find my room and trying to write down this theory about potentially using Egbert and the crystal as like a almost like the key and ignition sort of situation. And obviously consulting with Candlewick to try and get all those thoughts down on paper to see if it is a possibility for the crystal to be able to move from the ship to Egbert.
Did you say you left the room, by the way?
Yes.
As you leave, you probably hear, "Where's my son?"
Whoops. Yeah. That's something. Okay, Arena, then you go to your own quarters, and I forget where your room is. Somewhere around here. You go past the dead cockatrice that you still
the
need to
room that I
monitor.
have I don't use normally because obviously the whole setting things on fire situation I usually use the one in the mansion, but for now
No,
it's just
that's
because I want to be able to spread out all my paper and get it all from my head to the paper, and I'm like
gotcha.
talking to Candlewick and like writing things down and just muttering and trying to see if it's like a viable thing, because as far as what Llewellyn has told us, it's the figurine of power is incomplete. So potentially by using the crystal, that could potentially complete it.
Yep. Roll an Arcana check as
And
you're
because it has
realizing.
intelligence, it's kind of like
No, you're getting along the right lines.
17.
17. Okay. You're positive that objects can be used as vessels to hold souls. The crystals themselves seem to be fragments of a larger soul, and you've already kind of figured that out. And if it was possible to transport that fragment from the crystal into the egg, is that what you're trying to do? Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously it can as I said, act as like an ignition, meaning no one can technically steal the ship because it can't be powered without the crystal. So it's almost like a key to access the power to the ship. But also it's a case of that fragment could potentially locate other fragments that we
Okay.
wouldn't necessarily be able to access within the ship because it's so huge.
So you've got several fragments that you could use instead of the one on the engine as well, just so you're
Yeah,
aware.
that's what
There
I'm
is one
thinking.
on
I don't
the.
want to use the engine because that's such a huge thing. If we break that, we know that's a problem. So we might take the
Mhm.
one that's in maybe like the steering wheel.
There's also one in the figurehead as well,
Oh yeah, there is.
at the front.
But I want to do my research and make sure like I'm at least 95% sure it's not going to end in certain doom for all of us before I do
You're
it.
pretty sure inanimate objects can hold souls. However, they usually have to be vessels. Thankfully, an egg is definitely something of that. It can hold something So yeah, that would work. If it was something like you're trying to put a soul into a spoon, maybe not as useful. Or maybe put well,
I'm thinking because obviously the figurine inside, I know it's bird shaped because I looked through the eggshell,
it is.
and it could function as a living thing if you put the soul in it.
Right.
Kind of like
Another way to
as they said, like a golem or something.
well, as you mentioned that, as that thought comes to your mind, a golem, you just recall you have a golem aboard the ship. You have an artificial construct. You could also experiment with that before potentially risking the egg, and that
Chris.
was given to you by the gnome. And believe it or not, that actually takes the crystals as fuel or as charge. I think you did have one in it.
Can I just ask the big crystal that like basically runs the ship? The fuel for it, is it just smaller portions of the same sort of crystal?
The crystal is the fuel.
And it will
Yeah.
eventually consume itself.
So if any of us has pieces of the crystal, that is the fuel.
Correct.
Okay, just interested. Well, I'd be able to help, but I'm not there, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and spend some time looking at this automaton. Like, I
Okay.
didn't build it, so I want to check it over first.
All right. You're gonna have to go find the supply cupboard you locked it in.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Which
That's
one was
basically
it?
my plan, is to start sort of seeing if it's a viable possibility.
Where is it? So you go to the locked cupboard. Who's got the key for that?
From memory, Llewellyn used the arcane lockpick to lock it. Reverse lockpick.
But I have it, the reverse lockpick.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that just locks things. It doesn't unlock them.
Correct.
Which is fine.
So you come up to the locked door.
I will use my tinker's tools to attempt to remove the lock from the door.
Okay, you can roll a sleight of hand, or rather, use your tinker's tools.
That is a unique way to pick a lock, remove the lock.
To be fair, that's something that Tan did when he couldn't unlock a door. He just removed the hinges and kicked it down. Right. Inventory. Tinker's tool.
There it
I'm
is.
assuming, am I using dexterity for it, or
Yeah.
24?
24. Okay. Wow. And I'm trying to find where the actual supply cupboard is. 'Cause
I want to
it's
say
down
that
here.
I wanted to say the DC was insanely high for it as well.
I do recall it being pretty high. But thankfully, you're not trying to pick the lock. You're just
Yeah.
removing the hinges, which with a 24 is easily enough. You start to unbuckle the door, effectively unhinging it, and yeah, the door. You pull out the whole door from the frame, and inside is the now dusty, very sad-looking robot that's just sort of like head hung down, arms to the side, and it was sat on top of like a crate of probably like foodstuffs.
Fine, except it was eating the ship.
Still sad. Okay, there he is. I found him. I found the cupboard as well. It's over here. Here you go. He's actually sat on a bed. Oh, it's even more sad.
So yeah, I'm just gonna spend my time literally trying to figure out how this works.
Okay. You're gonna have to give me another Arcana check as well.
23.
Okay. And there's very clearly like 3 different sockets for it. 1 on the top, 2 on the sides of the arms. And that's where little bits of gems could be plugged in and the fuel source worked. Without that, it's just a hunk of metal, bits and cogs and gears. Definitely needs a fuel source of some sort. The sockets are like smaller versions of the ones that the crystal holds. And inevitably throughout this process, tell me what Irina would do to maybe experiment with this, because you don't have any moon crystal with you. But
No. I do
well,
have a pearl of power though.
okay.
Which obviously I can put essentially a spell into.
Funnily enough, that pearl of power is made of that same material.
Um,
That's
hmm,
exactly what it's made of. That pearl of power is made of moon rock,
yeah.
and it's even shaped like the moon.
Um,
And I'll tell you, with a
Well, yes.
23, that might just work.
But my thing is I don't want it to wake up and start pulling apart the ship again. So I'm not going to actually do it until I know how to reprogram this thing, which I know will take me time to study.
Reprogramming. That's the hard part. Is
Mm-hmm.
there's no circuitry or wiring or anything like that. This construct has maybe an innate intelligence. It has maybe an innate purpose built in. The crafter's will, perhaps, put into it. And that gnome was the one that created this. I'm going to say with the 23, you don't know how to reprogram. But I will say you do know how to give it life. And if you wanted to, though, you could potentially change its purpose by changing its tools. If all it has is like a broom for hands, then inevitably that creature will come to use that broom for that broom's purpose. But maybe he gets inventive and finds another way to use it as well. But you do
Okay.
know his hands do have little drills, tools, and they're practically Mr. Gadget hands.
Okay, well
They're like,
I'm gonna remove all of those.
oh no, poor guy. Take his arms off. Okay,
Um,
you take his arms off.
mm,
His chest is also one of the most intricate pieces of technology you've ever seen as well.
um,
It's basically in short, it is a 3D printer inside of his chest.
weird. Um,
Complete with yeah, the little rack and the sliders and everything.
I still don't quite know what to do with him. So obviously once I've sort of disassembled his arms, I'm gonna sort of, I don't know, look around and see what I can find in this well-stocked ship. I can maybe give him as some like replacements or something that don't involve dangerous tools.
Okay. Yeah, there's bits of rigging, there's replacement parts for like the cannons. Like there's cogs, wheels, there's ladders, there's planks of wood, all the things to repair a ship. You've got rope, wood carver's tools. There is mechanical parts as well that were usually reserved for if the cannons need repairing or adjusting. Oh, you've got pipes as well. Lots of pipes. Metal ones.
Yeah, I'm still not 100% sold on using the automaton
Oh,
in
don't have
general.
to.
But I feel better now it's like missing its arms. So
Oh gosh. Feel better now it's missing its arms. It's at this point Candlewick will also come to your attention and seems to be raising in heat. It's when the moment you open up its chest, and you notice there seems to be like a forge in there, for like melting down metals and reshaping them or heating them up to bend them. And that's when you see Candlewick like rise in heat, seeing like there's something for fire.
Oh, okay. You got a new toy, have you?
Candlewick seems curious about it, and with your permission, the smoke kind of goes over to it.
Go on then.
Yeah. All right. Candlewick goes into the forge, and you start to see it heats up little billows, and you see the chest does sort of like adjust itself as if there's actually life, even though you know it hasn't got any charge. But it's almost like Candlewick's heat is providing some sort of fuel. Maybe. Candlewick seems curious by this as well and goes on to experiment by the smoke pulls out of the little chest in the forge, and you see the creature kind of shudder slightly. And the smoke pours into one of the sockets and swirls around in there for a moment. And as it swirls, you start to see the head of the robot like flicker up, and like there's just a faint bit of life to the creature.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Yeah, you can see it like twitching slightly. Like
I'm gonna literally find like what can I use? What can I use? I'm just gonna pull out like what have I got? What have I got? Something. You know what? I'm gonna pull out a key, one of my keys, at random, and put it into like the little forge thing and see what he does with it.
okay. Um, it doesn't look like it's got enough life to do anything more than twitch and shudder. Uh, the key is like taken into the chest, and you can see like little bits of arms trying to grab a hold of it, and it grabs it and then drops it, grabs it, drops it, and it doesn't seem to have much more capabilities than that. There are little tiny arms within inside the chest. That's what I'm saying. Like it tries to place it onto the rig and then just drops it.
Okay. Well,
Candlewick comes out to see what's happening and like swirls it back around to the chest, and you see the creature just the whole it shuts all down completely.
kind of creepy. I think I prefer the sword. Let's ignore the creepy robot.
Yeah, you're not. Candlewick's not sure whether it was animating the creature or if Candlewick's life force, if it has any, was being shared by the creature of some sort, or giving
I
it
think
to.
let's maybe not do that again. I'm gonna take the key back, put it away, and like
Okay.
go back out and lock the door again. Put the lock back on it.
Okay. You put the whole door back on, screw the
Mhm.
hinges back in. Um, it is at this point you realize that Candlewick, in a weird way, is a soul and is a sentient item inside a sword that's able to come in and out.
Always known that. That's always been the thing.
Which means you also know that the crystal is an inanimate object which holds fragments of a soul,
Yes, I'm aware of this too.
which means it's weirdly working exactly the same way to power it, but because it's in a gas-like form, it seems only like a semblance of life can be used. But there you go. All
Hmm.
right.
I'll go back to my room and start my crazy scribblings again.
Okay. Um, shall we fast forward a day, or are you guys okay to? Do you want to do anything more on the journey?
Nothing I personally think of myself, but others maybe.
Well, does it get to nighttime at all?
Yes, it does, and you start to feel a bit more awake.
'Cause I guess I wake up for the nighttime.
Yeah,
This,
you
this is a
do.
thing. This is a thing now.
It is. You feel wide awake. You feel like the moon is a much more easier light on the eyes.
I guess I find myself at the wheel, looking out into the distance as I guess mess about a little bit because I've never used the wheel, so I'm probably just like, whoo, spin it one way and then whoo, spin it back to the direction we're going. I'm a real pirate.
When you do the wheel spin, Kishan would definitely feel a disturbance.
In the force.
Yeah, disturbance in the ship because the helm is actually attached to one of the crystals,
It's true.
and yeah, Kishan, you just perhaps like feel a twitching sensation.
And yeah, I guess I'm taking watch for the night until we
Right.
get there because I'm awake and
Mm,
I
it
watch
is.
I watch on until the sunrise.
In that case, then,
Through the sunrise.
as you're all sleeping, we actually have to go back to Irina because I'll only touch on this slightly, but when you are falling asleep, it feels as though your
I
body.
go back up to the main deck to sleep. I'm not sleeping
Right.
downstairs.
Okay. Gotcha. Um,
My room is right next to a bunch of cannons. That's not a good idea.
but this is what's strange is when you go to sleep, you see Candlewick or everyone else who's conscious, i.e. Llewellyn, you would see Candlewick sort of drift over, looking down, perhaps just hovering above Irina. And it actually hovers back over to you, Llewellyn.
Hi.
And you see this kind of cloud, like, almost tries to tug and pull at you, but you only feel like a slight breeze of smoke next to you.
But I see the smoke and whatnot.
Yeah, and it gathers around your hand.
My actual hand or my
Yeah, your actual hand.
Not the hook.
are you want me for something?
The smoke goes over towards Irina.
Okay, I guess I follow.
Okay.
If she wakes up while I'm standing over the top of her, I will be so pissed at you.
The smoke goes around your hand again, and then it pulls down towards Irina's forehead.
What are you? I wish you could use words. Okay, I guess I'll let the smoke lead me. This
Okay.
feels so weird.
Your hand comes to rest on top of Irina's forehead, and it is stone cold.
Like I guess I give her a shake. Irina, are
Um,
you you're not
you
dead?
also can you give me a medicine check as well? Just a quick
Oh
one.
god, I'm dead.
Oh no.
I know your head.
Oh no. Oh no.
And that's enough to normally stabilize someone, just about. Um, it's at this point you're trying to shake them. You realize that they are not breathing. Their chest isn't rising and falling, and you don't feel any air coming from their mouth when you're placing your hand near their head. It's as you're shaking them though, you suddenly see Irina gasp, and your eyes do come back open, Irina, and then there's a sudden flush of heat back into your body, and yeah.
Hey, you
I
stop.
immediately headbutt them.
What the You stopped breathing.
You tried to strangle me in my sleep. What the hell's wrong with you?
No, Candlewick got me over because you stopped breathing in your sleep. I think
Why
we
the
found
hell would I stop breathing?
I think we found what your effect was from that place.
You look around you, Irina. You suddenly feel shunted, like you was about to embark on a long journey, and you got pulled before you went out the front door. You were actually only kind of just drifting off. but it felt like you was back in that cave, back pushing forward into that shadow. Perhaps it's just a replay of the events of today, or rather the day before. But you were only just falling asleep when this happened.
And why do people in this party think it's okay to hit me when I help them?
Okay. I couldn't breathe. I woke up and there's you.
Yes, I was waking you up because you weren't breathing.
Okay. But I wasn't breathing. People do irrational things when they think they're dead.
Just so we know, in case this happens again, would you like me to wake you up next time you stop breathing in your sleep?
I mean, yes.
Okay, good to know. That's weird. That's a weird effect. Like,
It gets weirder. But
some
it's
cosmic being just told me it gets weird.
I'll tell you what. Do you go back to trying to get some sleep, Irina? Yeah. It's
No.
when no, you staying awake.
Oh no.
I
Oh
have
no.
concerns. Like, do I really want to try and sleep again?
The question is, do you stop breathing when you sleep, but you can continue to be alive? Like the feign death spell?
Okay, I want to make sure that this isn't going to be a thing that, like, every time I sleep, my body tries to kill me. So, you stay there. And then, obviously, if I stop breathing again...
Wake you up.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Hmm.
How many pillows do you sleep with?
Well, none. You,
I was gonna try and steal a pillow so I could like just put it on my head, just like in case next time I wake
I
you up.
literally imagine I'm sleeping in one of the little rowboats. Like,
Oh, that's cool.
using that as like a bed. Okay. I kind of had a feeling before I came awake. And I want to check something. So, like, you can revive people when they've died recently, right?
Normally, if I had enough diamonds,
Okay. That's
what if what if when you sleep it's because what was you dreaming about?
This is the
It's
thing. I'm not quite sure.
yeah, it's strange to you when you was in that moment. It wasn't like you was feeling or dreaming anything. It's when you come to consciousness, it flooded back to you, like you suddenly remember the dream when you come to consciousness. And I don't know if anyone else has ever felt that before.
Because I was
It
wondering what if it's just your soul leaving your body and then returning when you're woken up?
Let's just see if
Candlewick heats up, by the way, at the set when Llewellyn says that.
I'm gonna try and
Oh.
sleep again.
Yeah.
Maybe wait a couple of minutes. Not a couple of minutes, but a few extra seconds before you wake me up.
Well, what is your constitution to know how long you can hold? No, I'm kidding.
What is my
Yeah,
constitution?
yeah. How long can you hold your? Could you normally hold your breath for?
I have a +3 to my constitution.
4 minutes, you can hold your breath. It's
Okay,
really
I'll
long
give it.
time.
I'll give it to a maximum of 4 minutes, and then I'll
Okay.
as if you're holding your breath, sort of thing.
Okay. And then I'm just gonna literally sort of candle wick. If he can't wake me up, it's your job to do it.
Feel a protective heat around your arm where you usually hold your shield. You just feel like a wave of heat there.
All right. I will attempt sleep again.
Okay. This time because you're paying attention carefully, Llewellyn, you notice as Irina goes to sleep, their eyes closed. It is creepy trying to get to sleep with Llewellyn just watching you, but you are exhausted, and eventually sleep finds you. It's at this point, Llewellyn, you see Irina take one long, extended breath, exhale.
All right.
It
Okay.
almost sounds like a ghost exiting a body. Just their form kind of like slumps down and becomes very, very still. There's no rising and falling to their chest,
Wow.
and you
A
they
lich,
go pale.
yeah. A lich would have a field day with you right now. Your soul just straight out.
That sounds very strange. Anyway,
That's
there is, yeah,
not,
yeah.
you, not easy to steal soul.
Okay, right, gotcha.
Uh,
Yeah,
no, I would.
oh,
God.
yeah. hmm
Great.
And you can see that if you check their temperature again, they're cold to the touch, like they're a corpse. Irina, as you drift off into sleep, you are experiencing something, but for now, it's just this kind of flat line, just nothingness. You don't even like acknowledge the passage of time. It's not until you wake up that really all of this comes flooding back. So we'll say 4 minutes elapse, and you go to wake her up.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, Irina, is suddenly when you, as you gasp, your eyes go open, is when it all suddenly floods back to you, like memories that you've experienced, memories that you just had a moment ago, but ones that you aren't aware of during that time, only now when you come to consciousness, as if they've all been collecting somewhere else and then pulled back in the moment you're coming to wake. And it's at this point, it's the journey was very brief, 4 minutes. You go down into that strange crypt, or rather that temple dedicated to some cult of dragons. Pushing into the darkness once again, you appear back into that shadowy realm. You're looking around at the grey sky. You can see the shadows playing within the canyon walls. And as you take your first few steps out and wander this place, is when you're pulled back once again. But you were definitely there in the Shadowfell. And I'll say that just as a quick thing, you can roll me a perception check as well to see what else you would see, just very briefly. Hands weren't physically there in that space. They were more like smoky shadows, very much like how Candlewick appears when he was in the realm. You appeared as like a shadowy shade of yourself. Mm. And that realm was definitely the Shadowfell. But when you come back to consciousness, yeah, you feel another flood of heat, as if you've just been resurrected.
Hope that's not going to happen every time I sleep.
Why? What
There's
happened?
just there's an uneasy heat from Candlewick.
Like,
Just a
do you know
sizzling.
what's happening to me?
Candlewick gives off a low heat, which is often associated with a yes, but he doesn't want to tell you.
Okay. Am I going to die
Cold.
frequently?
There's a cold sensation from Candlewick.
Am I just going to die? Is that it?
Cold again.
Okay. Am I
Cold means
cursed?
no.
Do I feel the coldness around? Or is it just
No,
around?
just Irina.
All right.
Am I cursed? Is that what this is?
There's another cold sensation, but
Okay.
I am going to attempt anyway as I reach. And
the heat does coalesce around your heart, though, as you ask, "Are you cursed?" It's a cold, and then it kind of shapes around your very heart. You can feel it burning there, like heartburn for a moment.
I am going to cast Remove Curse on Irina to see if it'll fix it anywhere, regardless if we know it will or not.
So as you go to do this, Candlewick shoots up around and forms like a shroud of shadow around you and is protecting you for a moment. And it's at this point you realize the spell needs to be... You need to get permission, effectively, from Candlewick before you can cast this spell on them.
From Candlewick, not Irina.
Candlewick is bonded with Irina. She is a warlock. So, in a weird way, yes, you do.
All right then. I guess Candlewick doesn't want me to do that. I'll cast it on myself then.
Okay. You don't want to be nocturnal?
I do not want to be nocturnal.
You suddenly feel incredibly lethargic, Llewellyn.
Look, what? Like I'm tired again because
Yeah,
it's now
tired.
because it's
You're
now
very
night.
tired.
Oh, this feels like real life. I sleep so much in real life.
Yeah, you feel the immediate want to go to bed.
I wish I hadn't done that yet.
Because you slept all the way during the day, so now your body clock really is screwed up.
Oh.
And not in a curse.
You just gave yourself double jet lag.
No. Well, we are flying from one place to another, so I guess it is jet lag.
It is. Oh yeah, airship lag. As for you, Irina, the sensation of Candlewick shielding you from this momentarily, there's sort of like this tentative heat that kind of simmers around your temple for a moment. It's hard to discern what he's trying to tell you, so I'd like to you to roll an insight check. Only 11. There's a temperature that kind of rushes from the top of your head, and it just lowers throughout your body, just slowly, just calmly, a wave through your body. You're not sure what they're trying to do, but perhaps they're comforting you, or maybe they're just reassuring you. But it seems like there's more that they want to say or try to tell you, but they don't have the means to tell you.
Is this a bad thing? Is all I really need to know.
That's when the heat kind of waves up and down, but it steadily fizzles out at more of a cold sensation.
Okay.
And you take that with an 11, you do get the sensation. That means not necessarily.
Okay, so I know where I was. Is that something that you do? Like when you're not here, is that what you do?
The heat rises again.
Okay. Is that where you go when you're not here?
The heat confirms this again.
Okay.
What if?
Is it dangerous for me to be there?
There's a hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Yes and no, basically.
Like, obviously, if I'm not in my body, I'm dead.
What if this? What if this is how Candlewick became Candlewick? That he spent too much time in the Shadowfell and then had the same sort of effect? What if you become a Candlewick type item in the future? Because your soul keeps leaving your body and suddenly your soul gets absorbed into an item.
Well, I mean, I don't really know how Candlewick came to be how he is. No one does. That's the thing.
That's what I'm questioning. Because obviously he's knowledgeable about being in the Shadowfell.
Well,
As you just was speaking to him, asking about him being there, I didn't hear his side. I didn't really hear the responses he gave, but you
I
know,
mean,
when he's
I
dormant,
mean,
he goes there.
my main concern right now is the fact that every time I sleep, I'm gonna die.
Well, it doesn't seem like you're dying now that we know more about it. It's more like your body becomes dormant and your soul leaves temporarily.
Right, but
Uh,
okay, but we've
he
seen what.
continues. Yeah, confirming that.
And until you're woken up, or do you need to be woken up, or will you eventually wake up on your own?
That's why I'm worried. I don't know if I stay that way long enough, do I just stay that way?
I mean, we could test this out a little bit more, but at some point, I'm gonna have to go to bed again. God damn it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, you do feel a heat within the center of your palm, by the way, Irina.
This is
Which hand?
The left hand.
Okay.
Whatever that means. I guess straight after that. That is the sword. That is your sword hand, isn't it?
No, she's right-handed. Han was left-handed.
In that case, you feel the heat. As soon as you feel the heat on your left hand, it then shoots back around and up to your right hand,
Okay.
and then it shoots back around to your left hand, and you feel them like almost being magnetized together, like they want to be clasped together. But you're not sure what the gesture means. But you kind of get the image of like two hands sort of clasping one another, like a
Yay.
like a handshake, but not quite. A
a handshake with yourself.
connection, yeah, a connection with yourself, I guess.
Do you? It's a weird question to ask you, and not have asked you this already. But like, obviously, if
Me?
now that I know that's where you're from, is that like where you are physically?
There is you see the smoke come out of the scabbard, and
Like,
it forms.
I get that you're not a physical thing, but like,
It seems to coil, and you see two strands coil up like a rope, or more like four strands coil up, and then form into like that of a rope, and then it sort of fizzles away.
okay.
Ask him if he was a physical being before being what he is now.
Were you?
There is a heat that rises, confirming yes.
Okay.
Was that a yes or a?
Yeah.
Does that mean he has a body somewhere?
There's a cold sensation.
No, I think maybe at one point he probably did.
So there's not like a
Um,
dormant body that he could
No.
return to eventually.
you could roll an inside check, by the way, for the coiling rope image, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty clear what he meant by that. And even you can as well, because you physically saw it, Llewellyn. See if you want to roll an insight check.
Sure.
I don't know what you took that to mean though.
He's a
Like
twisted
he's
individual.
somehow tethered to it is my sort of the way I
Yeah.
see it.
That's correct. Yeah. And with a 13, yeah, you get the idea there's a tie to it, but not necessarily he's there physically. But he
Well,
did
obviously,
make
if
a
that's where he was made, then he's got actual ties to it. Okay, so
But,
this isn't he says this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not a good thing either.
didn't say not necessarily a good thing. It just said just not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
either way, you feel a heaviness around your eyes, Irina, as if Candlewick is pulling you back to sleep.
Okay, I'm gonna sleep.
10 minutes and see if I can still wake you up then, or
No,
you want me to
I
do...
think I've got to just go in and try for the long haul and see what happens. It's the only way I'm gonna find out.
All right.
So
I'm
if
going.
if I don't wake up, do me a favor, just don't forget about the capital and just try and make sure my friends and your dad get out.
It won't come to that. You'll wake up.
All right,
We'll see.
And
Irina. Okay, go.
I'm going to go to Kashan and just give him a little tap.
Hmm?
No.
The bow staff will come up and it's like, "Ah!
Oh, it. Why do people keep hitting me?
Why would you wake somebody up in the middle of their sleep?"
Well, we found out that it's a curse. Also,
What's the curse?
boop, and then remove curse.
If you
to
do
try and
this, you'll get rid of his beadiness in the shadows as well.
get his what?
Just so you know, he gets an extra 5 foot if he's in dim or darkness.
Oh, I don't know about that. Boop.
Well, in that case, Kashan, are you willing to accept? Is it a willing target with remove curse? I'm not sure. But you feel as the spell is taking hold, the shadow is being pulled away from you, the smell of ash along with it. But at the same time, because you're probably not in a well lit room right now, it's at night. You start to feel maybe a little bit heavier,
Ace of
as if you're
Kazooie
being more
disappears.
you're like being grounded back to the floor, whereas before you kind of felt lighter, as if you were a shadow, or maybe some of the weight has been transferred to your shadow. But
Quickly find out if
It's okay. You're a clean kitty now. Go back to sleep.
hold on, is it a willing creature?
It's not
I'm not
willing.
sure. I'll
God,
have to read it. I don't think
damn.
it is a willing creature.
It's just a creature that I can affect.
Yeah, you can take that damage then.
It needs speed, don't it?
Does
You
he?
bastard!
Does he
I
have his?
want more speed.
Does he have his egg back at this point, or is he still holding raisin bread?
No, I would have given it back as once I knew it was safe.
Sorry, what was that, Kirsty?
I would have given it back as once I knew he wasn't going to do something silly with it.
No, I just thought I'd
Yeah.
check because that'd be hilarious. This happens, then he's like, "What did you do to my egg? Why is it bread?"
So what did I know? What did I know? Carius had
Carius has grey blood.
grey blood.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Uh,
you can go around and boop everyone if you want. It's up to you.
pretty much. But I guess I'll ask Carius if he wants grey blood, and I'll ask
Okay.
Andy if she wants to be breathing cold air.
It's not affecting me in any way. I don't really care.
But
Wear off on its own.
but it might break the whole thing with the shadow as well.
Yep. As you're saying that, Irene, sorry, Andy, you see your shadow is like hands on hips, like shaking their head.
Well, there you go. There's your answer.
Shoot.
Shadow
Yeah.
says no.
Be gone.
You want your shadow to be a physical?
Hey, we're getting on.
Huh.
We have a deal.
Guess you'll never be alone. Yeah, no, I'll go to Carius and be like, blood, grey. Do you want it to be the right color?
Carius actually like taps his chin thoughtfully and strokes his little goatee, and it's just like, you know what? I'm actually not sure. I mean, it's kind of weird, but at the same time, it's kind of a unique factor. So, and it's not causing me any harm for now. So, I'll. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna flip a coin. 1, remove it. 2, don't.
I can't believe you're asking everyone else when mine benefited me.
Yeah.
There are benefits to a lot of them as well.
Yeah,
Tax has-
Karis. Yeah, Karis says no.
Yeah, I don't know about tack balls either. So
Yeah.
Perhaps, Kushan, maybe if you ever go back to that place, maybe then you will feel lighter again. Who knows? But for
Maybe-
now, you do
maybe-
feel heavier again. You feel a
maybe-
normal weight, rather.
Maybe if Kashan would stop hitting me, I would have asked.
This reminds
Maybe
me,
if you stop being stupid.
you did wake Carius up from his sleep.
No. Because this time, I probably would have like used the end of my staff to just like prod your foot or something.
Carius lightning bolt. No.
The GM lightning bolt will worse because you can maximize the damage.
Yep.
Okay.
I wonder,
Night-
could I kill Lavella with one of my lightning bolts?
Probably. Anyway, night is going to pass, and we're going to take it on to day. In the meantime, though, Irina, you're in this shadowy like realm, and it's at this point you've probably seeped deep enough into this place that you feel like you're not just within a dream. And give me just a wisdom saving throw. But you're not sure how to shape the dream yet. Feels like you're just sort of you're being pulled by something, or perhaps just drifting for now. If you was able to become
no way
lucid,
around.
it's because this all comes back to you at the last moment when you wake up. You're hoping that maybe during your sleep you will be able to actually think about what's happening elsewhere, but it feels as though you're just a brain stuck in this body. Something of yours is out there wandering, literally your spirit, and it's not until your spirit returns to you is when the knowledge of what your spirit has got up to returns to you, and you're having a hard time making that connection that your body can be somewhere else whilst your spirit is somewhere elsewhere as well. You've got to try and perhaps take your consciousness and give it to your spirit so that you can actually influence what your spirit is doing rather than just laying here completely still. And you do remember the Temple of Sun and Moon. There were people who were under a spell like this known as astral projection, but they were projecting into the astral sea, whereas you seem to be stuck projecting into the Shadowfell.
But I
And you
wake
haven't
up
got-
and I'm okay and I'm
When dawn
alive.
comes, when the sun hits you, the light warms your cheeks and pulls you away from the Shadowfell. And it almost feels like the sun rises in the Shadowfell, and you have this memory. You wandered the canyon, you wandered the deserts of this place. You saw there was a gigantic ruin. Domed rooftops collapsed in, and you start to see the sun rising above this city. And as the rays hit you, it basically blinds the vision, and you come to consciousness from that moment. But effectively, yeah, on your character sheet, I've put in the journal notes. Your spirit continues to wander the Shadowfell when you sleep. And it's perhaps not until you gain control of that wandering that maybe you can start to explore it. And I think this is
How
a good
do I
opportunity.
feel when I wake up? Like
You feel like you're coming back to life every time. You feel all your joints like aching slightly, like they've been stiff for a long time. it's like coming back and you've got like a slight bigger rigor mortis, just ever so slightly.
Okay.
But the Candlewick flushes through your system and you can feel heat go to your fingertips, which helps ease that away very, very quickly. If it was someone else wandering who didn't have powers of like fire and heat, they'd probably be like wrapping themselves in a blanket trying to warm themselves up. But Candlewick just floods you back with heat and you're like, oh, it's a pick you up basically.
I'm gonna basically I assume Kashan does like his sort of like morning stretch routine or whatever in his morning. I'm gonna go and join Kashan for those because obviously I feel like I need it.
Yeah, you need to
Really?
stretch.
But I'm
Nobody
not
ever
gonna
joined.
I'm not gonna mention why. I'm just gonna ask if I can join him.
Hmm.
All right.
You know, I feel like I'm not getting enough exercise. I'm getting a bit slow, so I figured I might attempt to join. You know, my mum was part of your monastery, so it's like getting a bit closer to her, I guess.
This is very true.
If you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Of course. He's already got a coffee on. He's put another one. Like, he's made himself a nice organic breakfast. And he
Brown
sets up
morning
his
push.
meditation mats. Oh, yeah. He'd be happy to have the company.
All right. So in the distance and the horizon, you've made good time. And those with higher perception skills can see a city in the distance. There are domed rooftops. And as it is pointed out to everyone, Irina, you just have just a faintest bit of nostalgia, as if you've just witnessed this in a dream. But it didn't look anything like this. It looked ruined, destroyed.
Oh,
But
it's
here,
almost the Shadowfell reflection of the dry oasis.
exactly. You didn't get a good look at it though. You only saw it from a very distant horizon, as you are seeing it right now, effectively. But let me just see if I can give you some art. But you have officially arrived in the airspace of the dry oasis. There isn't any griffins patrolling like Guidia, but if you want, you can start to
Well,
figure out where you want to park your airship.
well, Andy said that her dad's head is buried outside of the dry oasis, right?
It is.
Mhm.
So we'll
So
probably park a little
maybe-
bit distance away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I recall, yeah, it's in an oasis outside.
Yeah. Carius is looking at the dry oasis with a sense of distrust and like bad memories.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't get on with the dry oasis, did you?
Well, it was the dry oasis was the place he ended up after he got struck by lightning and lost his horn, which then led to
Right.
him being banished, and it's also where something was stolen from him, and he's just like,
Yeah, just a pain in the top of your head where the horn was.
yeah. You know, one day I've got to find that other bit of the horn. I'm sure it's somewhere up in the mountains.
So there is like a spice in the air, just perhaps morning cooking coming wafting from the city. Some of you with a keener sense of smell can probably just about detect it. The dry oasis is actually walled, and there is a defensive like parapet across the top of the wall as well. There is clearly a defined entrance, and you can see just down below the tiniest dots moving around. Um, there are people, and you can see camels going to and fro from the entrance, just morning travelers and such. And there's a large flock of birds as well that seem to be congregating around one building, and they're just swooping around, stretching their wings perhaps. But just in that one building, there seems to be a particular amount of them, just fluttering and such.
Right.
We're looking for an oasis outside of the dry oasis.
A proper oasis.
Yeah. So I'll give Andy the spyglass so she can have a look
Okay.
and see if she recognizes any of it.
Non-dry
She'll know what
oasis.
she'll be looking for, won't
Yeah,
she?
that's why I'm saying, like, obviously Andy checking is probably better.
Okay. You can roll with advantage then, Andy. Perception. There isn't much cloud cover either, so you got a fairly good view. That's good. If you have that spyglass. Okay, 28. You know the direction in which you left the city when you made your way towards that place, and way off in the distance, there is a hint of a mirage, but you can probably see a bit of shrubland and maybe a single tree. This oasis used to be perhaps a little bit bigger than what you remember it, but maybe someone found it and then harvested all the water from it. Maybe it's dried up. But if there's still at least one tree, there must be some water. But it's a very,
Need
at
to
the
find
very
the
least,
feature
it's a
is the trash
marker.
can,
Yeah, the trash can.
which connects
Uh,
to her world.
Trash can to Evermore. Trashlands.
In my head, for some reason, I always think it's the north. You went north of the dry oasis. So I'm just going to say that you have to kind of loop around the city, unless you want to fly straight over it. But you can head there and start heading towards that single marker, if you wish.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay.
It is
All right.
time.
Because I'm guessing it's a safe place for us to park anyway. So.
All right then. Okay, the ship is steered around the city. It does take about a good portion of the morning up until mid after, just about midday, basically noon, when you come to above the oasis, and it is smaller than what you remember. And as you look down, you can see in fact, let me just roll a D100. I want to see how much of it's gone. Wow, it's practically dried up. In fact, someone else has definitely found this oasis, and if they did, much like a gold mine, they would have stripped it bare. This poor little oasis is nothing more than a dry bank, and that tree that you're coming down towards, it's it's dead. The tree is dried up as well. It's just a husk, just a trunk of it left. It's an unnerving sight.
As soon as they get close enough, she's going to get off the ship. And her main concern is someone's found where she's basically made the memorial. So she's going to hop down. She'll know what the marker is. I can't imagine it will be anything too obvious. Because of course she doesn't want people to find it.
It could have just been a stack of bricks.
Or you know what you know what it probably was, because of course he wore like a turban sort of thing. It was probably part of the cloth of the turban that she's put on like a little, made into like a little flag or something like that. She'll hurry over to that. She'll just start kind of like digging in the sand to try and find the box that she would have put in.
I'll have followed a distance behind, but I'd have followed, and I probably would have if we jumped off the ship. Ever followed us down.
Yeah. Carius just glaives down.
Yeah.
Leaves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Park the ship, immovable rod.
Yep.
Basically going to
Yep.
become a verb eventually.
Yep.
The
Are
glaive.
we able to wait? I need to reattune.
Yeah, I would.
I
would
mean,
have-
we don't all need to go down for this bit. It's more of a
Give Andy
personal
some
thing.
space.
I'm just more patrolling the. Yeah, in fact, Carius, rather than going necessarily with them, he's just sort of patrolling the area on his glaive, just making sure no one else is sort of coming nearby, sort of thing.
Yeah, knowing what this is to Andy, I would have kept my distance until needs.
Yeah.
If there was water here, then perhaps it might be more patrolled. But now that it's dried up, you don't see a single soul in sight.
Yeah.
And you can easily attune over the course of an hour as you approach anyway. If you wouldn't want to change over attunements, but here is where you're parking anyway, so you'd probably end up doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, you start digging through the ground, and
Well,
it's
does
not
she
long
find the
before
marker first? I'm guessing she does.
you do, and
Cool.
let's have a
Okay.
look. Was it? I'm gonna say it's not too far from that tree that was once here, and the turban is just below. Like, there was once like a bit of masonry here. Perhaps there was like a wall or a fort, but whatever else was here is now long gone, and it was just under the shade of this wall where you placed the cloth, that part of turban, that you start to dig and dig and dig, and you can't believe just how far you buried it. Perhaps the sands have covered it in time, or perhaps when you were mourning, you didn't have anything left to do but dig, and it was part of your grieving just to keep on digging yourself a hole, sort of like putting your head in the sand almost. But I tell you what, give me an investigation check. Okay. So it does take a long time as you're going through. It's been a couple of years now. What like how long ago was it now since you've been here?
I think good couple of years actually. I think
you decided it was about 6 years.
about 6 years. Yeah, she was in her mid-teens when it happened. So
Okay. In that case, phew, yeah, you do have to dig really, really deep, but it's about, let's say, 15 minutes of digging. 1 minute for every number on that dice there. That you start to see not only do you start to see like damper sand, like the oasis here isn't fully dried up, like there is perhaps still water in the earth. You start to feel like wetter sand. It's also at that moment when you start to see a bit of white, and there was a couple of rocks along the dig, but this one stands out. And as you tap on it, it definitely feels a little bit hollow.
I mean, it's in a box, right?
yeah, she did. She would have put it in like a box or something. She probably stole the box.
Oh right,
Because I
okay.
can't imagine her a 14-year-old walking through the streets with a head in her hands. So she probably put it in a box.
Okay. All right then. In that case, you knock on the box. You find like the sand covered
She kind of
box.
almost hesitates a moment when she hits it. Kind of almost pulls her hands out, like I really shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. So then, I guess after like taking a deep breath, she just puts her hands back in, dig around it so she can pull it up.
Oh, you're massive. Okay. It's only just as a background thing. Okay. Um, you dig it up, pull out the chest, or rather the box. It's only big enough to hold a skull, so it's not particularly heavy. But it does take a while to get the chest, the box out. You have to actually go all the way around every single edge. It's not a case of just pulling one side of it. You actually almost have to excavate it. But eventually, it is free, and you climb back out of the hole.
I'm guessing everyone's at a distance, so she just kind of like quietly comes over with this box kind of in her hands, probably looking a little bit pale because she's like, I've just destroyed my father's grave.
I'm literally at this point seeing obviously Andy a little bit distraught. I'm just gonna sort of reach into my coat and pull out the goblin skull, just to be like, I've been there. Don't worry. Okay. Just saying. Okay.
But yeah, I didn't think I would ever have to do this.
You need answers. It's okay.
He'll be back at rest soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want us to leave so you can talk with him?
No. Whatever he potentially has to say, everyone can hear.
Well, I didn't know if you should be doing him.
Well, it would be cool if you'd met like that. Even in this weird circumstance.
All right. Okay.
But I will point out it is 10 to 10, so if we do it, can we maybe do it next session?
Yeah, rather
we
than rushing
can-
it.
Yeah,
No, we don't have to rush it, but I think we can begin it. And
I'm exhausted, so I don't know if I'm going to really be able to have the right frame of mind to do it.
it's fine.
Well-
Cast the spell, and then the next session can be.
right,
You'll have time
and
to
then
think
begin it. Yeah,
of the
Mm.
questions you want to ask.
exactly. So you're the one casting the spell, Velen.
Yeah.
Describe to me what your Speak with Dead spell looks like.
Could we actually do this up on the boat? I think he'd like being on the boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably better than making it look like we're a bunch of necromancers.
He's never been on a boat. Well, I think no, he must have been on a boat. He's never told me he's been on a boat.
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll see.
He's never
Right.
been on an airship.
There we go.
Yep. Carius will offer the glaive for Andy to go up on.
Then go.
Okay. You head up back to the ship then.
Yep.
Where on the ship would you want to cast this?
Probably just on the deck, in the most space.
Yeah, on the deck's fine. All right. And go ahead, Llewellyn. Describe to me as the skull is placed just set down on the deck of the ship.
So I guess I open the box and take the skull out very carefully, and I put
Mhm.
it on top of the box itself. And I guess I draw into my necromancy essence, and I guess I've never actually described how I've done it before. So I guess it'd be somewhat similar to how I do Revivify, where I sort of create this. That's
God,
weird.
he's a giant.
Yeah,
It's massive, isn't it? There we go.
I create this somewhat physical connection to the afterlife, and not being able to pull the soul completely into the material plane, but close enough that it can connect with its original body or skull.
Okay, sorry, yeah. So that again, the connect with the original skull, how? Oh, sorry, connect with the original body, how?
Like you see, like a pinpoint. How when I did it with Revivify, I created like this hole that I could put my hand through and grab the soul out. I guess it would be like a pinpoint hole size into the afterlife, and you see like a somewhat physical tether to the actual skull of the soul
Okay.
being brought closer to the material plane.
As you try to reach in for that thread, it's like literally grasping at straws. You're trying to pull the thread through that pinhole, and you can't get your grip on it.
So the spell isn't quite taking effect. Does it expend the slot? Trying.
It does, yes.
I try again.
Okay.
I know how much this means to Andy, and it as many times as it fail, I guess I almost drain my whole spell slots trying to make it work. I cast it higher and higher until I'm doing it at
like
7.
if we see Llewellyn struggling, I'm gonna go over and I'm just literally gonna put my hand on his back and almost try to channel Candlewick, because I know that's what Candlewick can do. He guides souls.
Yes. Candlewick hovers around the skull, observing it from every possible angle, and then sort of drifts there lazily. Even though you've given Candlewick sort of a command to help, Candlewick sort of disperses slightly, fades away, just back into the scabbard, as if Candlewick just gave up. But he definitely did a full like zoom around.
Does the
skull.
skull itself appear to be fully intact, like hasn't been damaged or anything?
It is fully intact, yes. The skull has still got a lower jaw, in fact. It is.
Yeah.
It was held in the box, and the box doesn't look like it was broken into.
And it wouldn't have been affected in the last 10 days.
Give me an Arcana check, Llewellyn, and I'll say you can do so with advantage because of Irina coming to assist and also figuring out if there is something wrong with the spell. 24, Llewellyn. There's one of two possibilities. First possibility is that you can't get a hold of the soul because they are being held somewhere else. Their soul isn't contactable, like it's either imprisoned or it's been taken somewhere. Souls, as we've already experienced throughout this episode, can be held within inanimate objects. If it's being imprisoned or taken by someone, a devil, a lich, who knows, then that would also stop the spell. The other possibility, and a reason why the Speak with Dead spell would not work, is if they are not dead. But it is either one of these two with a 24.
But if they weren't dead and this wasn't their skull, then surely the Speak with Dead would cause us to speak to whoever this was.
Unless
dragging the wrong soul.
Unless the skull's fake.
Is it a fake skull?
Andy, you can confirm 100% it is not. You went through every process and you knew exactly what happened after your father's death. You saw your father die. You witnessed it. The trauma is still there. And there's no question this isn't your father's skull. But Llewellyn, do you tell Andy that information about why the spell has failed?
I guess honesty is the best policy. The chances are his soul is being held back somewhere.
Or
it's not.
Or he is not dead.
Or he's not dead. But this definitely is his skull, right?
Saw him die. I mean, who survives having their head chopped off?
Unless someone
Andy?
brought him back.
Well, not just that. Your dad was very well known as an illusionist.
Right. You saying he fainted?
It's not out of the realm of possibility. It would have saved you. Like, you ran away immediately after. Therefore, getting you out of danger.
That's it.
It's a possible. Which one does? I'm gonna literally look at Candlewick and be like, okay, option A or option B? You examined this. What happened?
When you buried this, did it look like the head of your father?
I mean, I couldn't even look at it. My eyes were filled with tears. Do you think I could see what it was? I guessed it was. It was a head that was left on the stage thing.
What?
As grisly as it is, yes, it was.
I
It
took
was
it
your
out
father.
of the bucket.
Do I know do I know of any sort of illusion that could last that long? Because I assume it. Did you bury it hours
Specifically illusion. Roll me an Arcana check again, and anyone else who wants to figure out, because you brought up the idea as well, Irina. You can also roll an Arcana check.
Did you bury it hours after, or did you bury it days after?
Within the same day.
So
I wasn't going
You,
to leave it there to rot.
Llewellyn and Irina are neither aware of an illusion that could make a head like this, or even a whole other walking person. Neither of you can think of one. Usually, when they're physically interacted with, illusions fall apart, like you can see through them. But this is definitely a skull. You can hear the hollowness,
Okay.
and also Llewellyn, you know that it's not a fake skull because the spell would have just done nothing. But the fact is, you got about halfway through the spell, and it just struggled and failed.
but it's not like it's someone else's skull, because again we would have spoke to whoever this would be if it was a someone else's skull.
So
So
the
what?
chances are it's the first one.
So what
Whose
is
soul
this?
is being held? Like, does Candlewick answer my question whether it's being like the fact that he couldn't access the soul because it's held or because it's alive?
Or
Candlewick gives you a fuzzy kind of heat. This is when Candlewick doesn't know.
do I know of the higher resurrection spells?
Roll an Arcana check.
Because there is, out of character, I know there is one
There is, yes.
that completely resurrects them.
Yeah.
It's like it doubles them body wise. Their old bones are still lying about, but
25, you do know of a spell that does that. However, you need a piece of said person to do that.
Well, they would have had the rest of the body.
They have the body.
oh, that's true. So they could have used the rest of the body as a means of bringing
Potentially.
him
The other
back.
thing you know about this spell is it costs thousands upon thousands of gold to be able to do. It is not something that you can just simply learn and be like, hey, I can do this now. You need truckloads of diamonds, and normally it's only ever been recorded like once or twice within history of someone actually casting a spell like this, because it is that powerful and that costly. But
There's
it's whether
one other spell I've got in mind out of character, but
okay,
Karis isn't
well,
that
hold that to
smart.
yourself for the time being,
Yeah.
because as you try to think of what spell this could be, is there a spell that does something like this? At this point, Andy, will end on this. Your violin, the string on Raheem's violin, the one that was glowing when plucked near, like Chadnir's harp as well, just begins to thrum ever so slightly, just gently, and glows a little bit and then dies out. And then we'll figure out from there. We've got the whole dry oasis to explore as well. But yeah, we'll have to figure out what's going on with this next session. Thank you very much for watching. We are going to sign off here. And which is it? Which is it? Is Raheem's soul imprisoned somewhere and needs saving potentially? Or is Raheem even dead at all? It's
Either way, he's potentially savable.
we will find
This
out.
is not what I thought was gonna happen. I thought we were just gonna get answers. Don't be silly. This is Chris.
This is me. Well, anyways, thank you very much. We'll see you next week on Friday, and also tune in on Sunday for Baba Yaga's Dancing Hut, the Witch Hunters, and on Monday where we resume What Lies Beneath as well.
Yep, with hopefully our additional player.
Woohoo! All right.
Yes.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.